Thank you for choosing Wisdom of the Dharma. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you never miss a new update. Your support helps us keep sharing powerful, life-changing wisdom with the world. And don't forget to drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's grow and learn together. Part 1. The Hidden Karma in Your Closet. Have you ever tossed an old sweater into a donation bag, zipped it up, and felt like you did something good for the day? Maybe you thought, I don't wear this anymore, someone else could use it. And just like that, it's out of your life. Out of sight, out of mind. But what if that simple act of giving wasn't as harmless as it seems? Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, a woman named Rachel, an accountant from Minneapolis, shared something strange with a meditation group I was teaching. She had recently cleared out her wardrobe and gave away a few bags of clothes to a local shelter. Most of the clothes were from a time in her life she'd rather forget: a toxic relationship, a draining job, the grief of losing her father. She felt lighter after letting it all go. But then something odd happened. One of her co-workers, let's call her Jane, ended up receiving one of the donated jackets through a second-hand outreach drive. At first, she was thrilled, but within weeks, Jane began experiencing unexplained insomnia, a drop in energy, and even recurring anxiety attacks, something she had never struggled with before. Now, was it the jacket? Was it just coincidence? Rachel wondered the same, until she learned that Jane had been wearing the exact coat she used to cry in almost every night after work during the worst months of her life. It shook her. This isn't a ghost story. There's no horror twist. But there is something real here, something we often overlook. In both Buddhist philosophy and ancient energy traditions like Feng Shui, clothing isn't just fabric. It's memory, it's energy, it's karma. We're not just talking about germs or dirt. We're talking about spiritual residue, what some might call energetic imprint. Clothing sits closer to your skin than nearly anything else in your life. It absorbs the vibration of your moods, your milestones, your heartbreaks. It's there when you fail. It's there when you fall in love. It's there when you grieve. And when you give that clothing to someone else. Without clearing it spiritually, energetically, you may be passing along more than a garment. You could be transferring a story, a frequency, or even a burden they didn't ask for. Think of it this way. Would you ever lend someone your toothbrush without cleaning it? Probably not. But we often give away clothing without any thought of the emotional or spiritual residue it carries. This video isn't about superstition. It's about awareness. It's about what Buddhist teachings call right intention and right action, two limbs of the Eightfold Path. Even when you're doing something as generous as donating, if you're unaware of the full impact of that action, it may still bring harm, however unintentionally. So in this video, we're going to look deeper. We'll explore why clothes hold powerful energetic imprints, how they can influence the karma of both giver and receiver, what kinds of clothing should never be passed on, and most importantly, how to cleanse and give with wisdom. Because giving should be a blessing, not a burden. And sometimes, the things we leave behind don't really leave us at all, unless we release them with care. Part 2. Why clothes aren't just clothes. The energy they carry. When you walk into a thrift store, what do you see? Maybe it's neat racks of coats, folded jeans, or quirky vintage sweaters. But from a spiritual lens, you're stepping into something deeper, layered, invisible, profoundly human. You're stepping into a field of energy. In Buddhism and ancient Feng Shui, everything physical vibrates with life. Nothing is neutral, not even a shirt. The Buddha often spoke of the interconnectedness of all things. And one of the quietest, yet most powerful connections we hold is with the items we wear each day. Clothing, more than any other possession, absorbs us. It knows our posture, our breath, our stress. Over time, it begins to hold the frequency of our emotional and spiritual states. Think about your favorite sweatshirt, the one you pull on during lazy weekends, the one that held you through heartbreak, the one that dried your tears. That sweatshirt doesn't just remember your body, it remembers your story. Feng Shui masters call this personal qi imprint. Qi, or life force, doesn't stop at the skin. It flows through us, into our homes, and yes, into our clothes. So when someone else wears what once held your energy, they may unknowingly feel its echo. A sadness, a heaviness, a sense of unrest they can't quite name. But it's real. Science may call it psychosomatic. Energy workers call it vibrational memory. Buddhists may see it as a karmic ripple, a wave seeking closure. Whatever the term, the energy remains. In monasteries across Asia, monks handle their robes with reverence, not just for tradition, but because they understand fabric holds intention. Robes worn in meditation carry peace. Robes worn in sorrow are set aside, cleansed with care. So ask yourself, what kind of energy do your clothes carry? Here's the deeper truth. We're not just giving away objects. We're transferring states of being. If a piece of clothing holds sorrow, resentment, or unresolved pain, it carries that vibration long after it leaves our hands. You may think, but I wash my clothes before giving them away. That's a good start. But soap can't cleanse karma. Detergent doesn't erase grief. Spiritual residue requires spiritual care. That doesn't mean we stop giving, or cling to everything out of fear. It means we pause and ask, is what I'm giving clean, not just physically, but energetically? Because what you give comes back, and how you give it matters. In the next part, we'll explore how this energy transfer can create unseen burdens for the person receiving your gift and even ripple back to affect you. But first, pause. Look around. What are your clothes whispering? What stories are still stitched into the seams? And most importantly, are they ready to be released? Part 3. The Invisible Burden. How Clothing Transfers Karma. Karma doesn't just follow our actions, it lingers in our imprints. And when it comes to clothing, those imprints can be unexpectedly strong. Karma, in Buddhist thought, isn't just cause and effect. It's momentum, the energetic echo of thoughts, emotions, and deeds that ripple into the present. Sometimes, those ripples don't stay in the mind. They soak into what we touch, especially our clothes. Let me tell you a story. At a Dharma center I visited in Colorado, there was a young volunteer named Kevin. He was quiet, kind, and had been practicing mindfulness for a few years. One day, a large bag of donated men's clothing arrived. Kevin picked out a jacket for the cold mornings, but within days, something changed. He grew withdrawn. He missed his usual routines. He spoke less. During meditation, he described a strange heaviness in his chest, like something pressing down on his spirit. An elder monk, sensing something deeper, gently said, "That garment is not yours." The jacket had belonged to a man who'd recently passed away after a long illness. It had been with him through hospital visits, goodbyes, and pain. Though it looked clean, the energy hadn't been cleared. Kevin returned the jacket and performed a cleansing ritual. Within days, his clarity returned. His calmness came back. The fog lifted. Was it coincidence? Or karma? Passed not by action, but by absorption? This is the danger of giving without awareness. Because we don't just pass on clothing, we pass on frequencies. And unless those vibrations are cleared, the next person may unknowingly wear burdens that aren't theirs. This isn't superstition. It's mindfulness. In Buddhism, everything touched by the mind holds its impression: books, furniture, even fabric. When you give away something that held your sorrow, your rage, or your grief, you're not just clearing space. You may be transferring unresolved karma. And if the recipient is spiritually open or unprotected, they may absorb that imprint without knowing why their life feels off. This is why monks handle even ordinary items with care. Because respect is awareness, and awareness is protection. In the next part, we'll explore how unwise generosity, even when well-intentioned, can generate karmic consequences for the giver. Because sometimes, good deeds done without clarity become seeds of suffering, not because giving is wrong, but because giving without wisdom carries consequences. Before we dive deeper into how random acts of giving can unknowingly create spiritual burdens, if this message resonates with you, please support our channel. Your like, comment, and subscription help us share the Dharma with more hearts around the world. Have you ever felt something strange from an item you inherited, bought secondhand, or were gifted? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your experience. Part 4. When a gift becomes a curse, the dangers of random donation. Most of us believe giving is a good thing. It's the foundation of generosity, one of the 10 paramitas in Buddhist teachings. We're encouraged to give freely, without clinging. But what we often forget is that right giving requires right view and mindful awareness. Because even kindness, offered without clarity, can lead to confusion or karma. Let me tell you about Marcus. In his early 30s, Marcus had just begun practicing mindfulness after years of corporate burnout. One weekend, hoping to clear old energy, he filled a dozen bags of clothes and dropped them off at a local donation bin. No sorting, no cleansing, no reflection. Some of those clothes carried emotional weight, shirts worn during panic attacks, sweaters soaked in heartbreak, jackets linked to long periods of anxiety and exhaustion. 2 months later, through his meditation group, Marcus met Darren, a single father struggling to get back on his feet. They connected quickly, and when Darren mentioned he couldn't afford warm clothing, Marcus offered, "I actually donated a bunch of things. Let me give you some directly." And he did, generously, with good intentions. But soon after, Darren's life began to unravel. His toddler, once healthy, started falling ill. His freelance work slowed down. Sleep became restless, and an unshakable heaviness settled in. During a group sharing session, Darren asked quietly, "Could something I received be carrying sadness?" The room went quiet. Marcus, sitting nearby, felt his stomach drop. For the first time, he realized, he hadn't just donated clothes. He had handed someone the emotional residue of his past. His heart had been open, but his awareness was not. And that's the quiet danger. In Buddhism, intention isn't just about what we feel, it's about what we understand. If we give something that's spiritually heavy, even unintentionally, we may still contribute to someone else's suffering. And by the law of cause and effect, that suffering finds its way back to the source. This doesn't mean we should fear generosity, but it does mean we must practice mindful giving. Clothing isn't just material, it's memory. It's karma woven into cotton. If it holds trauma, illness, or deep emotional charge, passing it along casually can create waves of discomfort and confusion in the recipient's life. It's like offering a glass of water, without realizing the glass is cracked. So what can we do? That's what we'll explore next. But for now, remember this. Giving isn't only about the object, it's about the energy we wrap into it, and the readiness of the one receiving. A compassionate act considers both. Because in the Dharma, the purpose of generosity isn't just letting go of possessions, it's letting go of suffering, even the kind we might unknowingly carry forward. Part 5. Spiritually dangerous clothes you should never donate. Not all clothes are meant to be passed on. Yes, generosity is beautiful, but wisdom must walk beside it. In the teachings of the Dharma, one of the most misunderstood truths is that even acts of kindness can carry harm, if they are not rooted in awareness. And nowhere is this more true than in the clothes we choose to donate. Because some garments don't just carry wear and tear. They carry trauma, karma, energy that clings. Let's look at some examples you should never ignore. 1. Clothes worn during funerals or mourning. In both Buddhist and Feng Shui traditions, garments worn at funerals are spiritually sensitive. These clothes often absorb grief, heaviness, and what's known in Eastern belief as yin energy, the cold, passive, often sorrowful energetic frequency associated with death and transition. Imagine giving someone a black dress you wore to a parent's funeral. To you, it's just a memory. But to the person who wears it without knowing, it can bring unexplained sadness, a sense of isolation, or even nightmares. There's a well-known story in a monastery in Northern California. A lay practitioner donated a white ceremonial robe she had worn during her mother's passing. It ended up being used by a novice nun during meditation. Within a few days, the young nun reported spiritual disturbances, tearful meditations, and an overwhelming feeling of not belonging. After the robe was returned and cleansed with incense and sunlight, the energy lifted. Was it superstition? Or was it imprint? 2. Clothing belonging to the deceased. This one may feel obvious, but it's still often ignored. Clothing from someone who has passed, especially if they died in pain, fear, or confusion, can become a spiritual container for unresolved emotion. These garments can hold on to the energy of unfinished business, suffering, or spiritual disconnection. Even if laundered, the garment retains a spiritual signature. Giving such clothes to others, especially children or the elderly, can cause fatigue, confusion, or spiritual vulnerability. That's why in many Buddhist cultures, clothing of the deceased is burned, buried, or ritually cleansed, not casually given away. 3. Clothes worn during severe illness. The body and spirit are intimately connected. And during illness, clothing absorbs more than just sweat and skin oils, it soaks in the vibration of the physical struggle. There was a case in Arizona where a woman received a box of beautiful blouses from a neighbor whose sister had passed after battling cancer. Though grateful at first, she soon found herself feeling constantly drained, struggling with migraines, and plagued by a vague sense of emotional fog. Only later did she discover the origin of the clothes, and realize that what she had accepted was more than fabric. It was pain in disguise. Even if well-meant, passing along clothing soaked in long-term illness can energetically weigh down the next wearer. 4 garments tied to trauma. Divorce, loss, violence. There's a certain shirt you wore when you got the call your relationship was over. Or that dress you had on during an argument that changed your life. Or the hoodie that saw you through a panic attack. Those moments get trapped in the threads. And when someone else wears them, they may inherit the unspoken emotion, even if they don't know why. This is why Buddhist monks often discard robes used during spiritual turmoil and start fresh, because they understand garments are not just coverings. They're records, and sometimes what's recorded should not be replayed. 5. Clothing associated with accidents or crime. This may be the most severe category, but it's important. If someone has worn a piece of clothing during a violent incident, an assault, a crash, a robbery, those garments can carry spiritual scar tissue. In some traditions, they're never worn again, not even by the original owner, and under no circumstance should they be donated. Final thought. Giving is sacred, but so is protecting others from what should never be passed on. In the next section, we'll explore how to spiritually cleanse clothing that's safe to donate, so you can give not only with kindness, but with clarity. Because when it comes to energy, what we wear can shape what we carry. And what we carry we become. Part 6. The Energy of Cleanliness. How to spiritually purify old clothes. You've decided to give away your old clothes. You've sorted through them and kept only what feels energetically light, free of grief, illness, or painful memories. But one step remains, and it might be the most important of all. Energetic cleansing. Even seemingly harmless clothing carries subtle residue, what the Dharma refers to as samskaras, or emotional imprints. These impressions live not only in our minds, but in the very things we wear close, especially clothing. If your donation is to truly bless someone else, you must first clear what cannot be seen. Let's walk through how, gently, mindfully, and with care. 1. Wash with salt or ginger water. In both Buddhist and Feng Shui traditions, salt is one of the most natural and powerful purifiers. It dissolves lingering energy and clears emotional weight. Before donating, soak the clothes in a mixture of sea salt and warm water for about 30 minutes. No time to soak? Just add salt to the wash alongside gentle detergent. It acts like a reset for the energy. Want a deeper cleanse? Add fresh ginger to the water. Ginger balances and dispels cold, stagnant energy, the kind often trapped in garments linked to sadness or fatigue. You don't need incense or chanting here, but if you feel moved, whisper a short intention. May these clothes carry peace and comfort to their next home. Words carry power, even gentle ones. 2. Dry under direct sunlight. After washing, lay the clothes out under natural sunlight. In energetic practice, sunlight is considered yang energy, bright, active, purifying. It uplifts what is heavy and recharges what is dull. Drying clothes in the sun doesn't just freshen them, it infuses them with vibrant life. Avoid drying them at night or in dark corners. Nighttime is associated with stillness and absorption. Sunlight revives. Even a couple of hours under midday sun can make a remarkable difference in how the clothes feel, physically and energetically. 3. Cleanse with incense or essential oils. Once the clothes are dry, offer them a final, sacred touch. Light sandalwood or agarwood incense, and slowly wave the smoke around the fabric as you fold. This centuries-old temple practice helps lift residual energies from sacred items. Alternatively, lightly mist the clothes with lavender, lemongrass, or frankincense essential oils diluted in water. These high-frequency scents soothe the spirit and refresh the fabric. Imagine each fold as a blessing. You're not just packing clothes, you're sealing them in kindness. 4. Wrap and present with intention. Avoid tossing the garments into plastic bags. Instead, fold them neatly and place them in clean boxes or reusable cloth totes. You might include a note. These clothes come with blessings. May they bring comfort and peace. This isn't about perfection. It's about respect, a direct extension of mindfulness. The way you present something communicates far more than the item itself. 5. Practice gratitude and letting go. Before giving them away, pause. Hold your palms together, take a breath, and thank the clothes for their role in your life, for keeping you warm, for carrying you through chapters of joy and sorrow. And then, let them go. This isn't just decluttering. It's releasing with grace. When we give mindfully, we don't just pass something on, we transform it into a blessing. In the next part, we'll explore how to choose the right recipient, the right moment, and how giving with wisdom becomes a sacred act of Dharma. Because energy is real, and when handled with care, what you give becomes a path to peace. Part 7. Giving with wisdom. The right way to donate clothes. Giving isn't just about the act, it's about the energy behind the act. In the Dharma, we don't just give to remove clutter. We give to transfer blessings, to relieve suffering, to generate merit. But that only happens when our giving is done with wisdom, not out of guilt, not out of impatience, and certainly not out of thoughtless habit. Let's talk about how to donate clothes in a way that creates real benefit, both spiritually and practically. 1. Know the needs of the receiver. Before you donate, ask yourself, who am I really helping? And what do they truly need? Too often, we give just to get things out of the house. We stuff bags of random clothes and hope someone, somewhere will find them useful. But the truth is, not everyone needs what you're giving. A winter jacket donated to a family in a warm climate? Useless? Formal wear dropped off at a shelter with no job placement program? Impractical? This is why Buddhist compassion is paired with discernment. Before giving, reflect on who might benefit and how. If you're unsure, reach out to organizations directly and ask what they're looking for. Some may prefer seasonal clothes. Others might need children's wear, workwear, or outerwear. When the gift matches the need, it becomes meaningful. When it doesn't, it can become a burden. 2. Give in good condition. You wouldn't give a friend a shirt with a missing sleeve or a large stain, would you? So why give that to someone in need? Dharma teaches that we should give what we would be happy to receive. If an item is too torn, stained, or worn to be used with dignity, recycle it instead. We'll talk more about that soon. If it's still usable, fold it neatly, clean it well, package it with care. This isn't just good manners, it's energetic respect. The recipient may be materially poor, but their dignity is not. A clean, well-folded shirt carries a very different energy than a wrinkled heap of old laundry tossed in a trash bag. 3. Give personally, if you can. Whenever possible, give directly. There is something powerful, sacred, even, about the eye contact and smile that happens when one person places a garment into the hands of another. It says, "I see you." If personal giving isn't possible, choose trusted, organized charities or spiritual centers with transparent systems. Monasteries, temples, community aid networks. These places often have systems in place to distribute clothing with care and intention. The key is ensuring your donation doesn't just vanish into a pile, but actually reaches a soul who can benefit from it. 4. Give at the right time. In Feng Shui, timing is energy. Donating clothing on auspicious days, like the new moon, a day of purification, or a spiritual observance, amplifies the merit of the act. These times are believed to carry lighter vibrations, creating a cleaner energetic handoff between giver and receiver. Likewise, avoid donating when your energy is low, chaotic, or resentful. If you're angry, bitter, or doing it in haste, that emotion can transfer into the act, even subtly. Take a breath. Clear your heart. Offer from peace. 5. Give without clinging. This is the most important teaching of all. Once you give something away, let it go. Don't worry about whether the recipient appreciates it. Don't try to track where it ends up. Release it with full heart and full faith. In the teachings of the Buddha, true generosity is not about losing something. It's about expanding your capacity to love without attachment. And that is the essence of mindful giving. If this message is resonating with you, take a moment to support our channel. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who values mindful living. And let us know in the comments, what's one item you've held on to, not because you need it, but because you weren't sure how to let it go. Your stories inspire more than you know. Now, let's explore the path for clothes that shouldn't be donated, but still deserve to be honored. Part 8. If not donation, then what? Recycling with. Not all clothes can, or should, be donated. Some carry memories too heavy. Others are too worn, too damaged, too far past their purpose as garments. But even then, we don't need to treat them as trash, because in the Dharma, everything deserves to be handled with awareness. Even an old shirt. In fact, how we discard things speaks volumes about how we live. If we can release a worn-out garment with care, we're practicing the very heart of mindfulness, honoring impermanence, practicing non-attachment, and living with intention. So if you have clothes that can't be donated, here are some simple, meaningful ways to recycle them with mindfulness. 1. Turn clothing into cleaning rags or towels. Soft cotton t-shirts, pajamas, or flannels can be cut into smaller squares and used as reusable cleaning cloths. They're perfect for wiping surfaces, cleaning mirrors, or polishing wooden furniture. Instead of reaching for a disposable paper towel, you're reusing what already exists, an act of both compassion and environmental stewardship. 2. Create pet bedding or soft stuffing. If you have pets, old towels or sweaters can become cozy bedding. Dogs and cats love familiar textures and soft material. You can also stuff old clothes into pillowcases to make makeshift cushions or meditation seats. This is especially fitting in a Buddhist home, turning one's personal energy into collective comfort. 3. Craft tote bags, coasters, or fabric wraps. If you're creative or handy with simple sewing, many worn-out clothes can be transformed into new household tools. A button-up shirt can become a stylish grocery tote. Colorful scraps can become coasters or reusable gift wraps in the spirit of furoshiki, the Japanese art of wrapping gifts in fabric. What was once waste becomes an object of beauty and intention. 4. Use fabric for meditation or altar decor. Old scarves, sarongs, or robes can be trimmed into altar cloths or used to wrap sacred objects. Even if faded, the material may still carry softness and serenity, qualities that support spiritual space. This is especially powerful if the garment once accompanied you through a meaningful season. You're not discarding it, you're transforming it into sacred support. 5. Join clothing recycling programs. Many communities now offer textile recycling bins that repurpose fabric into industrial materials, carpet padding, or insulation. This may not sound spiritual, but it is. You're ensuring nothing is wasted, and that each thread returns to purpose. It's the Dharma of the earth. Nothing disappears. Everything becomes something else. So, if an item is no longer wearable, don't rush to the trash. Let it find a second life. With mindfulness, even the act of cutting a sleeve can become a meditation on impermanence. In the next section, we'll explore what to do with garments that can't be donated, reused, or recycled, but still carry emotional or spiritual weight. Sometimes, the deepest release comes not through reuse, but through ritual. Part 9. Final resting place. How to bury or burn clothes properly. Some clothes can't be donated. They can't be reused, recycled, or passed on. Maybe they were worn during a painful breakup. Maybe they were tied to illness, grief, or trauma. Maybe they simply hold a weight you can't explain, but feel every time you touch them. When an object carries that kind of heaviness, the most compassionate thing to do may not be to give it a new life, but to let it rest. In Buddhist cultures, burning or burying are ancient, sacred methods of releasing energy. These are not acts of destruction. They are rituals of purification, of closure, of karmic disentanglement. Let's walk through how to do both, mindfully. 1. Burning with intention. Fire is the great transformer. It turns form into essence. In many spiritual traditions, including Tibetan Buddhism and Japanese Shingon, fire ceremonies are used to release attachments and purify karma. If you choose to burn a piece of clothing, do so in a clean, open space, never indoors. Before lighting the fire, pause. Hold the garment in your hands. Acknowledge what it meant, what it carried. Then say, either silently or aloud, "With this flame, I release all energy that no longer serves. May peace return to this space and to my heart." Use dried herbs like sage, sandalwood, or rosemary if available. Their sacred smoke adds another layer of cleansing. And always burn during daylight, never at night. Daylight carries yang energy, expansive, protective, clear. Night, by contrast, is when yin energy and wandering spirits are more active. Burning after sunset may disperse energy in unwanted directions. Once the fire is out, sprinkle a ring of sea salt around the ashes as a final seal of cleansing. Then offer a bow, not to the fire, but to the process of letting go. 2. Burying with reverence. If burning doesn't feel right, or isn't possible, burying is equally sacred. In the Dharma, earth symbolizes absorption, rebirth, and return to origin. By burying a garment, you're letting the earth neutralize its energy and dissolve its imprint back into nature. Choose a quiet place with low foot traffic, under a tree, near a garden, or a forest edge. Fold the garment with care. Place it in a biodegradable bag if needed, along with a few grains of rice or a pinch of incense ash. Before covering it with soil, say, "May this return to the earth in peace. May all suffering bound to this cloth be released." You can mark the spot with a stone or simply walk away in silence, knowing that the energy has been honored, not discarded. Whether through fire or soil, these rituals aren't just about objects. They're about releasing memory, healing unseen wounds, and making space, inside and out, for new beginnings. And that is one of the deepest acts of Dharma. Part 10. Closing Reflections. What your closet says about your mind. Take one last look at your closet. Not the clothes themselves, but the energy they hold. What you keep, what you cling to, what you hide in the back, what you forget in silence. These choices speak louder than fabric. They tell the story of how you relate to attachment, memory, and change. In Buddhist practice, the outer world is never separate from the inner world. Your closet is not just a storage space, it's a mirror, a mandala, a miniature landscape of your mind. Are you holding on to clothes that no longer reflect who you are? Are there garments tied to pain you thought you buried, but haven't yet released? Are you hoarding just in case instead of trusting the flow of abundance? Every shirt, every scarf, every unworn jacket is a teacher, a reminder of the past, or a doorway to your future. When we consciously part with old clothing, especially with spiritual care, we're not just cleaning up space. We're honoring our evolution. We're making space for who we are becoming. Because in truth, energy doesn't disappear, it transforms. And when you give with wisdom, cleanse with intention, and release with love, even something as ordinary as a t-shirt becomes a vehicle of compassion. So here's your practice. Sometime this week, open your closet in silence. Hold one piece of clothing at a time. Ask yourself, does this carry light or weight? Does this reflect love or memory? And then choose, mindfully, what to keep, what to cleanse, and what to let go. You may find that this small ritual brings a surprising sense of clarity, lightness, even joy. Because clearing space isn't just about what you remove. It's about what you invite in. Peace, flow, and presence. If you found meaning in this journey, I invite you to support our growing Dharma community. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's ready to live lighter. Leave us a comment. What's one item in your closet you're ready to release? Not just physically, but energetically. And if you'd like to affirm this path, you can write in the comments, "I release what no longer serves me, and invite peace into my life." From everyone here at Wisdom of the Dharma, we wish you clarity, kindness, and courage. May your path be light, may your home be clear, and may the energy around you always support the soul within. See you in the next video.